You wake up, you scroll your phone, you hit snooze, rush through your morning and promise yourself, tomorrow you'll do better. But then tomorrow comes and the cycle simply repeats. You're not lazy, you're not broken, you're just trapped in a pattern. Patterns are silent architects, either building a life you crave or keeping you in an endless loop of self-sabotage, where you think about tomorrow that never comes, but one you'll be hopeful for when the day seems the darkest, acting as your safety blanket in the world you find yourself in. If you feel like you're running in circles, it's because your subconscious is running the same program, the program that is predictable. So for the subconscious, that means safe, even if it's hell for you. But here's the truth, you can rewrite it. This guide is going to show you how to break your destructive self-sabotaging cycles and create empowered habits that make your life come alive. It's time to stop being a prisoner of your past patterns and become the conscious creator of your future. So with that, let's begin. Your brain is wired for efficiency, which means that it defaults to habit loops, whether they serve you or not. According to neuroscience, 40 to 95% of our actions are unconscious patterns. My sources will be linked down below in the description box for your own pleasure. But that means that if you're struggling, it's not because you lack willpower, it's because you're running on outdated programming that was given to you by your parents growing up, the society you grew up around, media, and your peers. A story that was crafted on the backs of others' insecurities and failures. But the good news is that you have the power to rewrite your story. Like an artist sculpting their masterpiece, you can consciously create the habits, mindsets, and rituals that shape your reality, because your everyday habits create the life you live in. So today's video, we're going to identify the hidden patterns running your life, break free from self-sabotaging cycles, and build new habits that feel aligned and powerful to finally take control over your destiny. And the first step is to identify your self-sabotaging patterns. This is so important because you can't fix what you can't see. Many of our biggest struggles, procrastination, negative self-talk, toxic relationships, are just unconscious loops that keep playing on repeat. You need to fully understand who you are right now and see what patterns you find yourself in, which if you would like a further guide of how to figure out who you are right now, I have this video that you can watch here to gain a deeper understanding of who you are and then also who you want to become. Because tracking will change your life, and this doesn't need to be anything extensive or time-consuming. All you have to do is start to pay attention to yourself in a productive way. How do you speak to yourself in your quiet moments and in your busy moments? Are they different? Is it the voice of your mother that drags you down, or is she the one that lifts you up? Or maybe you find yourself trying to prove your worth to a teacher or a friend who said you would never amount to anything. You have to sit down with yourself and identify whose voice is who within you and what kind of talking is going to be helpful for you for moving forward, because a lot of the voices that we have in our head are really not ourselves and actually the people who helped shape our reality and shaped us while we were growing up. Not only tracking how you talk to yourself, but also what your actions that you do every day. Do you find yourself thinking about your goals, maybe taking some action on them for a few days to only wind up stopping and or even falling further behind than where you started? Ask yourself why you stopped or what made you self-sabotage. Was it calling forth an emotion that was too overwhelming to deal with, so you just shut yourself down? Or did it feel too good and you simply don't know how to deal with good feelings? Which, if this is the case, my heart breaks for you, sweet soul, because you deserve more. You should not have to feel like you don't deserve good things. We all are deserving. So notice how you feel when you hang out with certain people. Do they give you energy or do they take energy? Or are they more neutral? Do they help inspire positive change, or do they want to keep you where you are or make you fall even lower? Start to assess what is actually helping you move forward or that is healthy for you versus what's keeping you the same or wanting you to keep sabotaging yourself. Ways to do this is to keep a pattern tracker for a week, write down your repeated behaviors, your emotions, any triggers that happen in your environment, and soon the patterns will reveal themselves. Or you could do a digital audit, scroll through your feeds, and focus on what content reinforces your limiting beliefs. What accounts make you feel empowered versus drained? Unfollow accordingly. Step 2 is to disrupt the cycle before it runs you down. This is important because your brain craves the familiar, even if it's destructive. To break the cycle, you must shock your system into seeing new possibilities. This can be tough to do and can be really scary if this is your first time trying it. For me, I was challenged to go outside my comfort zone by going up to some people in my martial arts class to see if they wanted to hang out sometime. Which, to a lot of people, you might be thinking, what's the big deal? You're just going to talk to someone. But for me and the days leading up to that class, I was nauseous and worried and constantly thinking about all the different ways that interaction would go down. I have a long string of traumatic life events in this area, but through the work I've been doing with my therapist and journaling, I realized that I never asked anyone to hang out with and waited for other people to come to me. Those people usually ended up being toxic types, and since I've grown a lot through growing on this journey of figuring out who I am and who I want to become, my ideal, I wanted to be the one to disrupt the cycle of waiting and instead see if I had the strength to go do this. And I am so proud to say that I overcame my severe social anxiety and asked people to hang out. And even though we haven't hung out yet, this week we are going to plan something to get together. This was step 1 of my social goals and overcoming my severe social anxiety, which that will be another video coming out very soon on the steps that I took to overcome that. But even if they had said no, or if we don't end up hanging out, I am still so happy because the first time doing something is going to be the absolute worst because you have no idea how to handle it because you have nothing to draw on. But now that I have that one instance to draw on and the evidence that I didn't die, even though my body during the days leading up to it was for sure thinking I was going to, and it's not that bad. So I proved to myself that I am capable of growing and I am worthy of growing. I now have less fear and nerves going up to people to see if we could potentially hang out because I know that it's not such a big deal and I can finally relax around that. Other ways to do this is to change one small daily habit drastically. So switch up your morning routine, take a new route, or do something uncomfortable on purpose. Or you can set pattern disruptors like app blockers, accountability partners, or alarms with disruptive affirmations. Step 3 is to install empowering habits that stick. This is important because it's not enough just to break bad habits. You must replace them with ones that light up your brain's reward system. If you only take bad habits away without replacing them with good habits, then you leave space for something bad to fill the time up or fail at breaking that habit. For example, when I was quitting that devil's lettuce, I had developed a habit of smoking as soon as work was done and smoke until roughly 2 hours before going to bed, and then, quite a bit on the weekends. And I did start journaling while I was still using, and I realized that the reason I wasn't achieving or working towards my goals was because I was getting too elevated and forgot to do the work, or simply just lost any motivation to get up and do the work because sitting on the couch just felt too darn good. Thankfully, my goals and reasons were way bigger than my desire to smoke because I realized I was only sabotaging myself every time I smoked. This is not to say for you to stop if you do. Live your life. I really don't care what you do. It was just becoming very unhealthy for me in my life. But in order for me to make sure that I was going to break this habit, I needed to do something that would take my mind off wanting to smoke right after work. To do this, I took every single thing in my environment that would have reminded me or urged me to smoke and hid them or gave it away. So I wouldn't have a visual cue to be like, hey, pretty lady, let's chill and push off our anxiety by not working on it and then worrying about it 10x later. But if I can't see it, I usually forget about it after a while. Then after work, I needed to replace that habit with something else. So I decided to walk on my little walking pad that I got on Facebook Marketplace and watch some guilty pleasure shows. Then before bed, I had a little sweet treat as a reward for not smoking. And I replaced that bad behavior, again, only speaking for myself, with a productive behavior that is giving me my life back. Habit building isn't about willpower, it's about making your new patterns feel so good you never want to stop. Other ways to do this is to anchor habits to existing rituals. So you can meditate while your coffee brews, you could stretch before bed, you could read a book while you're having lunch. It's called habit stacking. So stacking habits does increase your success by 200% according to research. Or you could also use habit tracking apps or create a habit highlight reel, which documents your progress in a way that feels celebratory. Think like IG stories or a journal where you say, today I was successful in completing these habits, because the visual cue of like showing all the check marks of you completing your habits day after day is highly motivating, and it makes you less likely to want to skip a day because of the progress you've already shown yourself. Step 4 is building self-trust through micro wins. This is important because breaking old patterns isn't about perfection, it's about momentum. There are going to be days where you might mess up or quote unquote fail, and in those moments, do not just throw in the towel and give up on yourself. Do not mistake your courageous attempt at making your life better and failing at some action to mean that you are a failure. Just because you fail does not make you a failure. It just means you might need to change something up to help you get closer to your goals. Continuing with my little journey of kicking my smoking habit, I did fail after trying it for a month when my sister came up to visit. She loves herself some of that good old devil's lettuce too, and usually when we hang out, or up until that point when we hung out, we usually just hung out and like smoked. So when she was here, I found myself taking an edible because it was what we did, but as soon as I took it, I instantly regretted it and felt like crap because I let myself down. But thankfully, I've been working on changing myself and how I talk to myself, and I switched up how I was taking this. Instead of seeing it as a failure, I saw it as further proof that I do want to kick this habit and I need to take steps to make sure that I was on this path. So the next morning, I restarted my day's sober clock to 0, but with new strength. And I'm glad I did, because I am insanely proud to say that after many, many years of being a daily toker, that I have hit my 6-month goal. So I am still going strong, and I'm still like steadfast in my resolve to keep this habit going. It was tough the first few months, like I'm not gonna lie about that. But since getting over the 3-month hump, every day has just gotten easier and easier. And one of the ways I did keep myself accountable was to journal every day and being like, dude, I am really craving like a little release right now. It's okay to feel like this is a lot. It's okay to know that this is like hard, but I'm not going to give up on myself. And one simple way to do that is to change your habits. And because every small promise kept builds trust and the foundation of an empowered life. So ways to do this is at the end of each day, write down one small thing you followed through on. Over time, this rewires your brain to see yourself as capable and consistent. Or you could find or create a supportive community where you can share micro wins and celebrate progress and not perfection. I do have a Facebook group that I am building up that you can find the link in the description. So if you'd like to find other people who are like-minded on this journey, definitely go and take a peek. Step 5 is to make it a lifestyle and not just a phase. This is important because transformation isn't about temporary motivation. It's about becoming the kind of woman who naturally embodies the patterns of success, confidence, and purpose. By changing up my day, my thoughts, and my feelings, I slowly became a different person. Someone who shows up as her best version even on the hard days. And I'm not saying I'm perfect, and I know I never will be, but that doesn't stop me from trying my best, because I know I'll never reach my peak me by always waiting for tomorrow. I also know myself way too well, so I keep a little journal to track my thoughts and feelings, to not only see any patterns that pop up, good or bad, to maintain my progress, or to just see how I'm feeling. I have stopped a lot of my goals because I realized that they simply weren't for me, even though I was certain about them before taking the actions to achieve that goal, while also helping me to remember why I want to stick with other goals and give myself motivation to push through the bad days. And as you'll soon find out, a lot of your patterns and your habits that you find yourself in happen without thinking or needing to rely on willpower to do so. So focus on what patterns you want to be second nature. This is how you unlock success without any effort. You'll never know for certain if something is meant to be until you try it out. And by trying it out, you develop self-trust because you know you got you and your best interest at heart, and gain confidence because you know you're going to put in the work to be better. Because you don't just get confidence from completing something, you get it on your journey of doing the things you don't want to do or what makes you nervous. And darling, confidence and self-trust look stunning on everyone. So some simple ways to do this is to create a monthly reflection ritual. You can light a candle, review your patterns, and set an intention for the next month. Self-reflection keeps you aligned. Another way is to document your transformational journey. You can blog it, post it, or create a before and after reflection log. Seeing your growth keeps you committed. Because the secret to empowerment isn't magic, it's mastering your patterns. Every thought you think, every action you take, every habit you reinforce either strengthens your power or weakens it. And the best part is you don't need a complete overhaul to change your life. You just need to start with one new pattern today. Your future self is waiting and she is thriving, baby girl. So will you meet her halfway? So let's get ready to take control of our patterns and finally feel unstoppable. Or subscribe to the channel so that way you can start rewiring your life for whatever feels right to you. Please know that I am so proud of you for taking the step to regain control over your life. Too many people let fear or insecurity lead their life, but not you, sweet goddess. You can feel that little ember burning in you that desires more and knows that she can build her fire bigger and brighter. I believe in you so much and know that we are in this together. So let's stop waiting and let's do this. Stay safe, stay happy, and stay resilient, my fellow sweet soul. And until next time, guys. Peace.